Good morning, everyone. Mr. Smith here. This video is going to be an introduction to the order of operations using the reteach side of the optional worksheet found in your Google Classroom. You don't need to print this. You can just follow along with the video and then try the problems as best you can. So let's start by doing the reading at the top. A mathematical phrase that includes only numbers and operations is called a numerical expression. And then they provide an example. 9 plus 8 times 3 divided by 6 is a numerical expression. When you evaluate a numerical expression, you find its value. In other words, evaluate means to solve. You can use the order of operations to evaluate a numerical expression. Now you might think to yourself, what does this mean, order of operations? Well, the order of operations are just a list of things that you need to do in the correct order. For example, if you look at our sample problems down below, there's multiplication, there's parentheses, there's adding, sometimes there's subtraction. So we have to go in the correct order, and the correct order is as follows. If there are parentheses, we do that first. And if there are exponents, we do those second. And if we have multiplication and division, we do that third. And if we have adding and subtracting, we do that last. And a lot of kids know this from previous years. It makes a little phrase called Pemdas. And we want to memorize that because it helps us remember when we get stuck later. What do I do first? It helps us remember that we do parentheses first, and then exponents, and then multiply and divide, and then add and subtract. And I want you to notice that these go together. Multiply and divide, they're like a tie because they're the inverse of each other. And add and subtract go together as well. And here's the deal. If we have multiply and divide in the same problem, we do those from left to right. And if we have add and subtract in the same problem, we do those from left to right. And I'm going to model that for you. Basically, the rest of this video is just going to be me modeling for you how to solve these types of problems. If you want to follow along on a piece of paper or a whiteboard, that would be great. I'm going to skip ahead to the bottom here, where it says simplify each expression, and I'm going to use the lines. Some kids find the lines to be confusing. When we get down to 4 through 9, they don't give us any lines, and I'll show you how I would solve it without the lines. But the lines here they basically give you a space to solve what they want you to solve first. Like up in number 1, they want you to solve that parentheses, and number 2, they want you to solve that parentheses. So before I do this, I'm going to make a little list off to the side of the order that I need to do this. I do parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply and divide, then add and subtract. Pemdas. And so parentheses go first. In number 1, do I have parentheses? I do. It's right here, 12 plus 8. 12 plus 8 is 20, so I'm going to put that on that line. And then I've done that. There are no exponents, but I do have multiplication and division. It's right here. It's 7 times 20. That's why they gave us a line here. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 20 is 140. Lastly, we add and subtract. 140 minus 6 is 134. Let's check out number 2. Kind of erase my checklist. Number 2, I have parentheses again, 12 plus 34. 34 plus 10 would be 44, plus 2 more would be 46. And this is just like the last problem where I did have parentheses, but I don't have exponents. And then I do have multiplication. 10 times 46. 1 times 46 would be 46. And if I annex that 0, it makes 460. Plus 3 makes 463. And the last problem is a similar type of structure, but there is something subtly different here. I do have something in parentheses. I'll do that first. 6 times 5 is 30. And then I want you to notice the subtle difference. Then I have both addition and subtraction. And this is my first reminder to you. Well, I'll go ahead and go through my list. I don't have any exponents, and I did my multiplication. This is my first reminder to you that if you have add and subtract together, you solve them left to right. I do not solve 10 plus 30 first because the A comes before the S. I solve 10 plus 30 first because it's on the left. 10 plus 30 is 40, and 40 minus 7 is 33. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen, scroll up, and I'm going to solve some more problems with you. And what I like to use is a whiteboard working space here. And I like to use these tools called carrots, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to copy down number 4. I'm actually going to do my Pemdas off to the side too. I'm going to copy down my problem for number 4. It's 2 to the 3rd power plus 10 minus 4. And what I like to use here are these things called carrots. And carrots are an indication of what I'm going to solve first. And according to my order of operations, I need to do what's in the parentheses first. So I'm going to do 10 minus 4. And that's 6. And I want to point out to you that once I solve something inside the parentheses, I don't need them anymore. So I'm not going to bring these parentheses down. But what I do need to bring down is my addition sign and my exponent problem. And so now I need to check, what do I do next? I have an addition sign and I have some exponents. I need to do the exponents first. 2 to the 3rd power does not mean 2 times 3. It means 2 times itself 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 again is 8. It's 8. And I bring down the plus and the 6. And 8 plus 6 makes 14. The answer to number 4 is 14. Let's check out number 5. That is a messy 5. 7 plus 3 times 8 plus 5. And I will clear my checklist right here, and I will start with parentheses. I will use my caret to show that I'm starting here. 8 plus 5 is 13. As I just told you, I don't need to bring down the parentheses, but I do need to bring down everything else. Times 3 plus 7. Now I have a critical question here. I did my parentheses. I don't have exponents. But now do I multiply, divide, add, or subtract? And tons of kids here would be tempted to do 7 plus 3 first because we're conditioned to work from left to right. But we don't. We multiply before we add. And so we do this first. 3 times 13 is 39. And then we add the 7 last. 7 plus 39 is 46. The answer to number 5 is 46. Let's go ahead and clear my board and solve number 6. Number 6 is 36 divided by 4 plus 11 times 8. And this one does not have any parentheses or any exponents, so I'm going to check those off. But I do have division, addition, and multiplication. And I'm just going to decide right now that what I'm going to do last is add. So what I'm not going to do is 4 plus 11. I need to multiply and divide before I add and subtract. When I have both multiplication and division, I work those left to right. So the first problem I do here is 36 divided by 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. I then bring down my plus 11 times 8. What I do next is I divide. I multiply. I multiply and divide before I add and subtract. Add and subtract is last. So I'm going to multiply next. 11 times 8 is 88. And lastly, I add 9. 88 plus 9 is 97. All right, let's check out number 7. Made a mess of my checklist over here, so I'm going to rewrite it. Pemdas. Okay, I'm on number 7. Number 7 has lots of stuff. It has a power problem, 5 squared. It's got subtract. It's got 2 times 8. It's got plus 9. Pemdas tells me to do the parentheses first. 2 times 8 is 16. Then I bring down all the rest of my problems. So I'm going to bring down my 5 squared, my minus, my plus, and my 9. So I've got add, subtract, and the exponent. I'm going to do my exponent next. 5 squared is 5 times itself, which makes 25. I'm going to bring down the minus 16 and the plus 9. And be careful here, some kids would be tempted to add before they subtract because they see the A here listed before the S. But adding and subtracting go together from left to right. So the first thing I do is 25 minus 16. 25 minus 16 is 9. And then I bring down my plus 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. Let's check out number 8. Number 8 is 3 times parentheses 12 divided by 4 minus 2 squared. I will clear my checklist. And I do have parentheses, so I'll do those first. 12 divided by 4 is 3. I will not bring down my parentheses because I solved that problem, so I don't need them anymore, but I will bring down the 3 and the multiplication sign, and the minus sign, and the 2 squared. And the next thing I need to do is my exponents. 2 squared means 2 times itself. That makes 4. I'm going to bring down everything else. 3 times 3 minus. And then I have multiplication and division. 3 times 3 is 9. And my last thing I have is minus 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. The answer to number 8 is 5. Let's check out number 3. Number 3 has an interesting little twist. It's not too hard. I'm sorry. I said number 3. I meant number 9. Number 9 has an interesting little twist. Let's check it out. It says parentheses 3 raised to the power of 3 plus 10 parentheses minus 2. So this has both a parenthesis and an exponent for us to start. So here's the deal. What I need to focus on right now is doing everything inside parentheses and leave the minus 2 for the end. So I can tell you right now I can skip all the way to the bottom and write minus 2. So I'm going to do that very, very last. Now what I need to focus on is doing the 3 to the third power plus 10. How do I do that? Well, once I'm inside the parentheses, I need to do the exponents before I do the adding. So what I need to do very, very first is 3 raised to the third power. And be very careful, that's not 9. 3 raised to the power of 3, I'm going to write it over here, means 3 times 3 times 3. That's not 9. 3 times 3 all by itself is 9. Times 3 again makes 27. So this value is 27. Then I have to add the 10. 27 plus 10 makes 37. And then I already showed you earlier, the very last thing we do is subtract it. Oops, is subtract the 2. 37 minus 2 is 35. Okay, I'm going to let you solve number 10 on your own. It says write and evaluate your own numerical expression. Use parentheses, exponents, and at least 2 operations. Thank you for watching.